the theme for this afternoon session. I think as we all know, Indonesia is a vast country. It's 3 time zones, it stretches across 5,000 kilometers. So managing a country like Indonesia is very challenging. And when we talk about digitalization, I think we are really at the moment only scratching the surface, right? We have digitalization only in most of the big cities, but across the regions, as Sachin has pointed out, in places far-flung across the eastern part of Indonesia, many of these regions have only seen electricity in the last few years. So to talk about digitalization of these far-flung areas is kind of a big step, yeah. But the fact is, if Indonesia is to become a digital nation, if it is to achieve its stated ambitions of golden era by 2045, digitalizing these regions will be critical, and in fact is the most pressing challenge facing the country. I think in the big cities, we have the infrastructure, but I think beyond just the hard infrastructure, what we really have not focused on so far is a social infrastructure for digitalization. Are our people ready? Are we going to get a nation of TikTokers, or are we going to get a nation of innovators? Because everybody can access TikTok, but what does it really do? You know? So in that sense, education system, our value systems, our ability to use digital technology for innovation and not just be consumption-driven. Because so far we've been very consumption-driven. We've imported technology, but we've not really created technology and innovation within Indonesia. So I think with that kind of, how we're going to go forward and how the regions are going to grow, and in terms of both the economic integration of the region as well, in the regions, as well as some of the key challenges facing the region. We have with us this afternoon, we're very honored and very privileged to have Pak Darmono, SD Darmono, as is very popularly known. Pak Darmono has been a very good friend, in fact, a mentor to the IEF for many years. He's actually given us a lot of insights and inputs and helped us to grow. And Pak Darmono, of course, within Indonesia's not just business community, but I think within even government and civil society is very well known. Of course, I think his calling card is that he is the pioneer for setting up industrial estates in Indonesia. I think Jababeka was his innovation and idea, and he brought in a lot of partners, including foreign investors, into Indonesia to set up one of the first industrial estates, yeah, Pak? Yeah. And of course, since then, we've seen a flourishing and mushrooming of industrial estates across Indonesia. Pak Darmono, of course, is also a very renowned author, but I think his books have really illustrated his thinking. And the way he thinks is basically you don't have to have everything ready before you start something. You gotta innovate on the go, if I may say so, yeah. But one of his best books that I have also read is Building a Boat While Sailing. Yeah? I mean, who thinks about that, right? You build a boat, then you sail, but you build a boat while you're sailing. And I think that's a very interesting concept, intellectually, and as an entrepreneur. So he's also earned many awards and also notable achievements, including being voted as the CEO's choice of the year amongst business leaders. So even amongst his compatriots, he's well recognized. So Pak Darmono, thank you very much. You've always graced us with your presence at the IEF. We are hoping to hear from you. I think the challenges facing Indonesia, as I said, in the regions, and also I think in its digitalization journey, there are many, many models out there. Maybe from your perspective, how does Indonesia balance that, both internally and externally? Pak Darmono.
Well, thank you, Sweb, for your kind introduction. Well, before I answered your question about how Indonesia will take advantage of this digitalization. Let me just go back a little bit about why I've been involved in the industrial estate development. 40 years ago, I had the privilege of meeting a lot of industrialists who had the same kind of worry about how we can help government to progress the economy. And at that time, of course, internet was something new. And Indonesia to catch up with the world from the third world country to the first world country, I think we have to embrace this ICT, information technology. At that time, we didn't possibly call it digitalization, but the idea was that how we can use digitalization to leapfrog our education for the young people and so on. So to start with, we started with an industrial estate in Cikarang, a consortium of 21 business people, including Pak Benjamin Suryaja from Astra, Pak Darmono from Salim Group, and so on. So this was the beginning, and from there for 40 years, I learned more and more about how difficult actually it was to develop the economy without educating the people, without using the technology. So in 2012, I had the opportunity to meet Pak Jokowi when he was governor of Jakarta. I already formed a President Estate Club at that time. President Club was a club for the academics, the businessmen, and government to have discussion, networking, changing of information, basically to produce something for government, as a think tank of government. Pak Bayu here was involved. So in 2012, I went to see Pak Jokowi as a governor. I said, Pak, whoever clever the governor of Jakarta, Jakarta will still be congested and flooded. Unless we develop cities all over Indonesia to create jobs in the rural area. So he said, well, how come? I'm a governor. I said, well, but you hold the identity card, ATP of the Jakarta people here. And a lot of people from every corner of Indonesia came to Java, to Jakarta, and become successful. Like yourself, you're from Solo, I'm from Magelang, Pak Teddy Rahmat is from Majalengka, and so on, right? So we will all become successful, and we get connection to capital, to technology, and the bird market. So why don't you ask them to help to create jobs in their own hometowns? So we were able to invite Pak Jokowi in our president lounge in Menara Batavia with a lot of businessmen and also some ex-minister like Paul Suyan Jalil, and also Teten Mas Duki was there, who became later on the president's man, right? So then Pak Jokowi mentioned about Jakarta actually has got the most poverty. 34% of the people are really poor because they have no more land, they live in small houses, so when they are sacked from factories, they really suffered. Unless it's different when people are in the countryside. When there is no job, at least they can still plant something, farm fish and so on, so they can still live. Jakarta is the worst situation. But on the other hand, young people like to move to the cities. Urbanization is something which is a must. Young people do not want to work in the farm anymore. So I said that we need to build at least 100 industrial estates all over Indonesia. So when he became president, he invited me to come one-on-one. At that time it was possible, now it's impossible. One-on-one says, so what's your idea of developing 100 industrial estates? I said, well, first we must have a regulation, like a special economic zone, where it has to be really special. In different places, it has to be different. The specialty must be different. It depends on the strength of the area, the strength of the natural resources, the strength of the people, and also the weaknesses. And also, are they ready or not? And then we have to ask investors, what do they want? What kind of regulation they want? So that they will make money, but then government and also the people will enjoy creation of job, transfer of technology, and maybe improvement of the environment, not ruining the environment. So with that kind of approach, I think we can attract many investors from overseas. So he said, okay, you come back next week. So 6 ministers were asked to listen to this idea. So all agreed, yes, special economic zone is the answer to that one. In a special economic zone, we must have a system as such, like in a hotel or shopping mall. It has to be autocratic. It cannot be democratic because we have to compete with the world market. So that was the idea. So that is just the beginning. Now, if we go now to this title of unleashing digitalization across the nation, first, I think we have to learn from China. So allow me to talk a bit about China's digital revolution. And this, I actually got it from internet, but I am not an expert in this one. So you could also go through this. But this is. China has successfully digitalized the entire nation in a world where technology is evolving at an unprecedented pace. China's digital transformation serves as a remarkable example of what can be achieved when a nation fully embraces the digital age. Now, the opening up of the Chinese economy under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping in the late 1970s dovetailed with the creation of the World Wide Web. This possibly we can talk later because we do not have Deng Xiaoping here and also different system to China. Since then, China has experienced both revolution, industrial and digital, almost simultaneously. Whereas it took the West almost 300 years to implement all the changes that resulted from the Industrial Revolution. China did it in less than 3 decades, transforming itself from an underdeveloped country into one of the largest economies in the world. The pace of China's digital revolution has been even faster. The country is becoming a leading force in the world's digital transformation, which is creating a new driver for the Chinese economy. China's digital economy, ranking second in the world for many years, has seen robust growth and become a major growth engine for the countries marching toward modernization. The scale of China's digital economy reached 50.2 trillion yuan, about 7.25 trillion US dollars in 2022, accounting for 41.5% of the GDP. The scale was only 2.6 trillion and accounting for 13.9% of GDP in 2005. China has also rolled out a plan for the overall layout of the country's digital development, vowing to make important progress in the construction of a digital China by 2025, with effective interconnectivity in digital infrastructure, a significantly improved digital economy, and major breakthroughs achieved in digital technology innovation. By 2035, China will be at the global forefront in terms of digital development, and its digital progress in the economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological fields will be more coordinated, also sufficient, according to the plan. What is the foundation of the success? The development of Chinese digital economy benefits from the construction of infrastructure in digital technology in China. This part introduces supercomputing, 5G navigation satellite system, and big data center, respectively. China has 167 of the world's top 500 supercomputers with a total capacity of 211 PF-LOPS in 2022. This is another measurement, PFLOP/S. The United States has 165 of the top machines with a cumulative capacity of 173 PF-LOP S, compared to 211 in China. That is a reversal of the ranking 15 years ago. The 5G subscribers reached 510 million in 2022, a net increase of 150 million over last year, accounting for 30.3% of mobile phone users and making it the largest user group in the world. Chinese operators target 560 million 5G subscribers by the end of 2023, which would comprise almost 35% of the world's users. As for coverage in China, 5G covers all the urban areas of prefecture cities and the county, and more than 92% down in the rural areas. China has the number of 341, the largest number of cities covered by 5G, followed by the US with 279 cities and South Korea with 85 cities. In February 2022, China approved the construction first 4 regional computing hubs: the Yangtze River Delta Hub, the Jinji Hub, the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area Hub, and the Chengdu, Chongqing Hub, and another 4 regional hub of Guizhou, Inner Mongolia, Gansu, and Ningxia are prepared to guaranteeing computing power for the future. Despite these 8 computing hubs in key areas in Western and Eastern China, the Chinese government also planned to construct 10 data centers cluster within these hubs. These 10 data center clusters will contain several data centers adopted to the purposes of the region. As an essential space infrastructure, China had developed the 3rd mature satellite navigation system after GPS and GLONASS by developing 45 satellites in 27 years, which serve transportation, public security, emergency management, agriculture, forestry, and other industries, integrated into power, finance, communication, and other infrastructure, and widely entered the fields of public consumption and people's livelihood. Cloud computing emerged as a critical pillar of the digital economy. The growth of digital economic output in the world's top 35 economies were proved to be highly associated with the public cloud market. According to recent data, Chinese cloud infrastructure services expenditure grew 21% year-on-year to reach $7.3 billion in Q1 2022. 13% of global cloud infrastructure spend. The top 4 leaders of the cloud service vendors, Alibaba Cloud, Huawei Cloud, Tencent Cloud, and Baidu AI Cloud, accounted for 79% of total expenditure in China. E-commerce and digital payments. China is the largest e-commerce market globally, generating almost 50% of the world's transactions. According to eMarketers, China's online retail transactions reached more than 710 million digital buyers, and transactions reached $2.29 trillion in 2020, with forecast to reach $3.56 trillion by 2024. In 2021, China became the largest market for e-commerce with a revenue of $1.5 trillion, placing it ahead of the United States. Alibaba's Taobao and Tmall, which is 50.8% market share, followed by JD.com, own 15.9%, and Pinduoduo, 13.2%, are the domestic platforms that dominate China's e-commerce market. China has leapfrogged traditional payment system, embracing a cashless society powered by digital payment platforms such as Alipay and WeChat Pay. Mobile payments have become the norm, with consumers using their smartphones to pay for everything from groceries to transportation. This digital payment revolution has transformed transactions and enabled financial inclusion, particularly for the unbanked population. China's digital payment ecosystem is a model for other countries seeking to modernize their payment system. According to Statista, the total transaction value in the global digital payment market is projected to reach $9 trillion in 2023. Of this, the Chinese digital payments market is expected to account for the world's highest accumulated transaction value of $3.6 trillion. Between 2023 and 2027, the compound annual growth rate or CAGR, for the total transaction value of digital payments worldwide is predicted to be 14.66%, resulting in an estimated total amount of $15 trillion. Within the same period, the total transaction value of Chinese digital payment is projected to experience a CAGR of 7.7%, leading to an estimated total of $4.9 trillion. The rise of the tech giants. China is home to some of the world's largest and most innovative tech companies, including Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. These companies have played a crucial role in driving China's digital revolution and expanded their global influence. Alibaba, for instance, has revolutionized e-commerce with its platforms such as Taobao and Tmall, while Tencent has pioneered the integration of social media and messaging services through WeChat. These tech giants have transformed the domestic market and become major players on the international stage. China's transition from manufacturing hub to rich hotbed has largely been driven by government's policies. The nation prioritizes technology development as a strategic goal, and the government channels massive investment into becoming a world leader with state-of-the-art tech hubs. Alongside this policy, the government also created special economic zones in 4 different regions, including Shenzhen, to further attract foreign business. China's most prominent unicorns are focused on automation and AI, along with a strong hardware and IoT presence in the impressive Shenzhen setups ecosystem. The government also created the Chinese Government Guidance Fund to facilitate public-private investment. This fund's collaboration between central, provincial, and local government focus on investment into industries with emerging and high-potential technologies, as well as the digital transformation of traditional industries. China's startup ecosystem is currently ranked first in East Asia and 12th in the world. Global impact and cooperation. China has been active in seeking cooperation with the international community to promote digital trade and governance. The digital economy is not only reshaping the Chinese economy, but also creating business opportunities for foreign companies. In November 21, China filed an application to join the Digital Economy Partnership Agreement, or DIPA, a new type of trade partnership agreement signed by Chile, New Zealand, and Singapore, which seeks to bolster digital trade. This application is in line with China's direction of further deepening domestic reform and opening up further to strengthen digital economic cooperation with other countries. On another front, the country has also been actively sharing its digital knowledge by offering technology, equipment, and services to less developed countries. Challenges and ethical consideration. With the rapid development of the digital economy, it has both pros and cons. China faces many challenges in the new wave of technological revolution. Firstly, the digital divide refers to the gap between people who have adequate access to information and communication technology and people who have poor or no access to ICT. Secondly, in the era of big data, various internet services must collect users' information to provide better services. The internet collects more personal data to fit its growth. However, this simultaneously poses the risk of a privacy breach. Thirdly, the employment model of the new industry may affect the traditional industry and disrupt the social security system. The digital economy could lead to structural unemployment. The conclusion is China GDP is increased from $360.86 billion in 90 to $1.21 trillion in 2000, until it reached $17.96 trillion in 2022. The size of the Chinese economy has grown by about 49 times since 1990 and about 15 times since 2000, and is the second largest global economy after the United States. In the era of rapid technology advancement, China has emerged as a global leader in the digital realm. The Chinese government has made the development of the digital economy to a national strategy, formulated development plans, and vigorously developed the digital economy. The rapid development of the information and communication technology sector has brought significant economic and social benefits. So that is what we can learn from China. Now, how about Indonesia? So my book about Think Big, Start Small, and Move Fast. It's the first book. It's actually a very good motto that we cannot just copy China, because China is a continental country. Indonesia is an archipelagic countries. And China has got 5,000 years of history. We are basically a new country, 78 years old. And still we have many, many things to do. So the second book I wrote was, so I've mentioned about building a ship while sailing. So we have to be patient. How to educate our people, how to build the infrastructure, and so on. But we can always start small. Take, for example, a shopping mall. Our shopping mall is not it's as good as any shopping mall in the first world. Why? Because in a shopping mall, this is small, and also the system is a corporate system. So the discipline is there, the regulation is clear. That's we can do. So if we have a giant shopping mall in the special economic zones, then surely we can also follow the system like in Singapore with the regulation as such that ensure the investors will feel happy and secure. Today, Singapore is the most expensive country in the world, but still people invest in Singapore as well. The government was about less than a year ago increased the stamp duty for foreigners to buy property in Singapore by 60%. And people keep buying. Instead of the price going down, the price keep going up. That is because of certainty of law, security, and conveniences produced by Singapore government. Singapore has got only basically one party, right? People Action Party. Very strong government. Is this democratic system? I think it's reasonably democratic. Yeah. Now we can do that in our special economic zones. Now, special economic zone, it doesn't have to be all manufacturing side. It can be tourism, it can be agriculture, it can be education hub, whatever which will improve or speed up the economic progress in that area. And by having special economic zone, we have the place where we can educate our people. Now, we have more than 4,000 universities in Indonesia, but we also have a lot of people who cannot get job. Unemployment actually is also big. Maybe not totally unemployed. Yeah, a lot of people have got jobs, odd jobs. One day being a bakso seller, tomorrow maybe a construction worker, and so on. They are not totally unemployed, but a lot of them have got that kind of jobs, which means that there is a challenge for us to go into this digitalization process. So education is very important, not just by having a lot of universities with the theory, but we need a lot of industries where students can have practical experience on the job training, internship, either in the hotel, in a shopping mall, in the factories, wherever, so that they can become skillful, knowledgeable because they study in the universities, but become skillful because they work in the industry. And also at the same time, we need to make sure that we also build their characters. And industrialization, give a very good education for the young people to be disciplined, to be on time, to follow the company's regulation. And that is character building in a way. So that by having education in the industrial estate, in the universities, in the industrial estate, polytechnic in the industrial estate, then the most difficult thing into the digitalization across the nation is first tackled by giving them a very good education. And by working in the factories, multinational companies, like what we have in Jababeka, Cikarang, we have more than 2,000 factories from 34 countries. You name it, there are Samsung, Toyota, Honda, and so on. So that our children, our graduates, can work in the factories and learn and also experience the latest technology, most expensive machineries, without having to go to overseas. This one, if we can have 100 cities like this in Indonesia, I think we'll become the most expensive country in the world. So this is possibly something which we can discuss further. What's the problem? There are many problems. But if I look at the history of Indonesia, which I was mentioned in my book, Building a Ship While Sailing, and the third book, Bringing Civilization Together, every 25 years, we have a cyclical change. We did not have revolution, but I think we had evolution. 1945, of course, we had revolution and we became independent. 1965, there was a change of government, change of system. So in 1970, Order Baru, the new order came into power with different system. And that was not revolution, it was evolution. I was 21-year-old, graduated from my college and got a very good job, very happy with the new government. I think the 40, 50 years old people at that time also took risks and become very successful. But the 70 years old over, maybe they are afraid to move on. Maybe they move to Singapore, America, Australia, if they had money. And in 1998, the same again. We had change of government. We had different system, reformation. And again, same thing repeated. It's an evolution again. Now it's 2023. It's another 25 years from 1998. So perhaps we should expect also a kind of evolution. So if this is the thing, is it bad or good? I think if we look at the growth of Indonesia since 1950 up to now, it's always gone up. Although there is a cycle of up and down, but it's always gone up. Yeah. It's, of course, it's not as fast as Singapore, because Singapore, I think, is much easier in terms of the size. Singapore is a middle-sized town in China, right? So it's with also one party, with the strong leadership of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew at that time. It's been successful, which we can copy-paste. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's book, From the Third to First World, is a very good book, which we use it in Jababeka as our Bible. How to build a new city, how to make the people who work there have got a strong ownership, like what Singapore did by introducing NTUC. Everybody had shares in NTUC, CPF system and so on. And then come the digital technology, come the internet and so on. So we have to be able to embrace that one in many areas in small cities, but we have to be able to talk with the Bupati, the mayor in Indonesia. So maybe for our foreign audience, I think they need to understand that Indonesia has got more than 17,000 islands. So it is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to do not only the digitalization, but also many kind of industry. And also, we have 514 mayors, if not already more today, because every day there is a new mayor and also new governor maybe. So this is a very good challenge and also a good information for investors to understand this. Because the power now is not with central government. The power actually is the regional government. Yeah. So when you come to Indonesia, you need to understand this. Talk to Sueb and Sakrin. Then we can join our President Estive Club. Then you get all access to technology, information, and also the networking with whoever you want, with the Bupati, governor, or the central government. So to me, Indonesia is becoming slowly like maybe United States 100 years ago. Yeah. But of course, we are lag behind in terms of the technology, capital, and so on. But we are blessed by strong natural resources. Yeah. That's why in outside big cities, if there is economic turmoil, the people are okay. As far as it is about food and clothing and roof and so on. But big cities is a problem. But we need to build big cities. We need to build cities because the young people want urbanization. And this is, I think, the potential for digitalization. Indonesia alone cannot do it. I think we need a lot of foreign investors to come. And our basic ideology, Pancasila and so on, support this thing. So I have every confidence that the political situation in Indonesia is getting better and better, although there is always a hiccup somewhere, maybe every 25 years. But I think this is okay if you are a long-term player. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Darmono, for that, I think, very thought-provoking opening in terms of how Indonesia can go forward, especially in its regionalization. As you rightly said, Pak, we go through evolutions every 25 years. And I think the current system came about following the 1998 Reformasi, where we went from a centralized government and a centralized economy to a decentralized system and a decentralized economy. And that has actually allowed many of the regions to grow because they've managed to retain their revenues, they've been allowed to invest back into their economies. And hopefully, I think to a certain extent, also retain some of their local talent. Maybe if I can now invite Pak Reza. Pak Reza is from the Ministry of Trade. He's the Pak Reza is the Director of Interregional Negotiations and International Organizations. I think, Pak Reza, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how do you see trade movements within the provinces of Indonesia as you grow, because I think what's happening is, of course, in the past everything used to come to Jakarta, whether it was goods or transportation. Jakarta was like the magnet, but now you see regional growth, and I think that part of that has also been because of investments in infrastructure in the regions, ports, airports. Do you see the regional trade movement growing between provinces where there is more trade within intra-regional trade? And how does digitalization impact that? Do you think there's greater digitalization in the trade itself within the regions?
Thank you. First of all, I just would like to thank you for Indonesian Economic Forum. I would like to say that my minister, Pak Zulkifli Hasan, very sorry not able to come here, as well as my DG, Mr. Jatmiko Briswicaksono. But again, first appreciate what the Indonesia Economic Forum does. Yeah, I think this is really important. And second, would like to appreciate as well what Pak Darmono has mentioned. You have talked about a lot of things that is very important for Indonesia. My point of view is that Indonesia is the biggest country in the Southeast Asia. We have, again, Pak Darmono mentioned 17,000 islands to 70 million people, internet growing faster, things like that. Of course, that related to trade, Pak. I mean, trade is the engine of growth. And if you can see that, not only export, but Indonesia is worried about import as well. I mean, I'm not saying that import is bad, no. But we have 27 million people. And now, because of the geopolitical tension, war in Ukraine, make it the price of food, the price of energy, things like that increase. And in response to your question, of course, again, trade is really important because trade is part of our sort of economic growth. And if we see that now, yeah, honestly to say that only Java now concentrate on trade, yeah. And talking about digitalization, I do agree with Pak Sachin mentioned that this is unleashing something. Unleashing it means that in a positive way, not in a negative way. You said dragon before. So again, we have potential actually. This is my colleague from Populis. You have a lot of data, maybe you can mention it. But the things about the institution, in my point of view, If we refer to the book by the Acemoglu, I forgot it. Why country fail and why country rich, why country very low in economic growth is because of two things, politic and economic, related to institutions. So the problem in Indonesia is institution, I believe, but this is just my point of view. So if you have the good institution, it going to the politic and going to the economic. I just refer to the book by, again, Professor Acemoglu. Yeah. You can read that. I mean, the professor argued that the institution is very important. And also I refer to Pak Darmono mentioned that, actually Indonesia have been blessed by natural resources. So yeah, honestly to say that what we export only palm oil and coal. Yeah, this we can do anything with that. But if we can downstreaming, again, I do agree with Pak Darmono mentioned about to strengthen industrial estate, to strengthen industry manufacturing, because like country in Africa, a lot of natural resources, but they are still poverty, you know. That if we compare to Singapore, Japan, they don't have natural resources, but they are rich. So the problem is, I believe, institution. Again, sorry to say that maybe corruption, things like that, to make the institution in Indonesia is not, maybe not revolutionary, you said evolution, ya Pak, ya. Yeah. And talking about digitalization in terms of the international trade, actually, this have been discussed intensively. Because when we talk about digitalization, of course, there are opportunities and challenges. The challenges is literacy, the digital divide. Indonesia, we don't have any technology, human capital. If there is corruption, institution bad, human capital, so yeah, you name it. And then the infrastructure as well. And education. So how many percentage of our GDP are related to education? Education is also important. I just copy what Pak Darmono mentioned. And in international trade, what we have doing about digitalization is to support small, medium enterprises, Pak, to get access to the international market, make them able to export, to get revenue for the country. And again, that in international relation, for example, in WTO, there is an issue about custom duty on electronics transmission. This is related to digitalization. What we want to do that if we import something from Netflix, there should be a tax. But most developed countries said, please don't put tax. So this is the issue. Yeah. But again, it's depend on Indonesia. If we want to join, we are not ready. But if we don't do anything, other country will move forward. So my conclusion is just, I mean, digitalization is really important. Again, not only for business, but to increase Indonesia competitiveness. Again, we should become a tiger, 270 million. If good institution, I mentioned many times about institution because institution is the key. And also we use the international trade, investment again. How come people can come if the regulation is not, always changed? So I think we need to reform and strengthen by doing digitalization. And last but not least, that Indonesia has a proposal now to become Indonesia Emas, Indonesia Gold in 2045. So I don't know how to achieve this, but if we have good institutions, technology, human capital, infrastructure, things like that, it becomes Indonesia prosper in the future. But once again, thank you so much for inviting us. I do appreciate. This is the very good topic. Digitalization is very beneficial for us. I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Reza, for that. I think trade, especially within the regions, as you mentioned, is very critical, and trade is really the engine of growth. If you look at the regions in Indonesia, especially those who are a bit further away from Java and further away from the big cities, if we look at what kind of industries are in those regions, you find a couple of industries, either agriculture, whether they are growing agricultural food, or what we call things like rubber, cocoa, right? And of course, fisheries. Fisheries is a very big part of Indonesia's economy. But the irony or the paradox is most fishermen are very poor, right? And then most of the farmers are also very poor. The question now is, how can digitalization impact this part of the economy? And how do we lift them, right? One of the things, I think there are some companies, especially agri-tech companies, that are providing information and data on apps to these farmers, to these fishermen, in terms of giving them real live market information on the pricing, and allowing them to actually trade and sell their products at the right price. And I think that's where digitalization really will have an impact in the regions, and allow these regions to also rise up. And I think more importantly, it improves productivity, right? Because now you have data and you have more knowledge, and you can understand when to farm, when to price your harvest and stuff like that. So I'm throwing this open to the floor now, in terms of you have any ideas, any thoughts, any questions, either for Pak Darmono or for Pak Reza. Of course, we also have Dr. Ravli here, who will later on have a presentation on IKN and the growth of cities, and how Indonesia is also moving towards building new, what we would call digitalized cities, right? And I think that is critical too. While we focus on existing cities and how to digitalize them, there is also an opportunity to build new cities with ground up. Of course, that will require a lot more capital and a lot more brain power. But I think it's an interesting, what would you call it, endeavor that Indonesia is undertaking in that sense, because that will also foster a lot of what I would call local tech innovation for local use in that sense. It's not always going to be importing innovation.